Okay, so PQRS is a rectangle, yeah, okay, which PQ is 13.6, QR is 8.3. It says calculate the length of the diagonal, PR, right? Now you could see then what I've done, I've labelled them A, B, C, okay, because we do that with Pythagoras' theorem, don't we? And Pythagoras' theorem can be used here, okay? Even though we've got a rectangle, actually, you can ignore this part of the rectangle. It's irrelevant, right? We've got a triangle here, okay? A right angle triangle, yeah? We've got the right angle there, 90 degrees. And we've got two sides given to us. And when we've got two sides given, and we're asked to work up the third side, we can use Pythagoras, all right? So long as we've got two sides, and we've got the two sides here. You notice I've already labelled these, okay? And I've labelled this side C, the hypotenuse. Remember the longest side is opposite the right angle, okay? And we always label that side C. And then the other two sides, it doesn't really matter, you know, A and B, it doesn't matter which way round. And here's Pythagoras' theorem. So you put the numbers in, 13.6 squared plus 8.3 squared equals C squared. So I'll get my calculator and we'll work out each of these. 13.6 squared, we get out, we'll press the SD button, 184.96, 8.3 squared, SD button, 68.89 equals C squared, okay? So the next step would be to add these numbers together. So 184.96 plus 68.89, and we get 253.85, okay? That will equal C squared, adding them together. And then you've got to think, well, what am I going to do then to get C? Because at the moment this is C squared, and if you think about it, you know, with equations you take things over, do the opposite. Now we're going to take the square over and we do the opposite, and the opposite of squaring is square rooting. So to get C, you square root 253.85. So the square root button is here, and I can actually press ANS because it uses the previous answer on the calculator, and I know it's 253.85. Press equals, and I get 15.93 for C. Okay, now this question is worth 4 marks, right? And so far we got 3 marks. To get the 4th mark, what we need to do is to actually state the side that we wanted. So even though I've called it C, we need to call it PR, right? As they've got here in the question. And also, to give your answer to an appropriate degree of accuracy, well, we're talking about rounding and rounding appropriately. Now, if you look at the question, they've got everything to 1 decimal place, okay? So we need to have this to 1 decimal place, 15.9 meters. Now it's appropriate because everything else there is 1 decimal place. Okay, second one, it says a ladder which is 7.8 meters long is resting against a vertical wall at W. So here's your ladder here, right? Resting against vertical wall there. We've got here is resting at the point W. The foot of the ladder is at A, okay, bottom of the ladder there is at A, and of course here's the ground here then, ground, ladder, and then the wall. And it's asking us to calculate the length of WB, okay, so it's asking us to calculate the height of the wall to the top of that ladder. Now again, you can see right angle triangle, Pythagoras. And this time, this is your C, of course, because it's opposite the right angle, that's the longer side. It's up to you then, you can call this A if you want and that B. And then we go with Pythagoras' theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now A is 4.6, so 4.6 squared. B is the unknown, right? We don't know what B is. We're going to try and work it out now. And C, we actually know what C is this time. We know that what the hypotenuse is, 7.8 squared. Okay, so we've got this here. Now, just as before, first step we do is calculate these squares here. So 4.6 squared, and that comes to 21.16. And then 7.8 squared, and that comes to 60.84. Okay. Now, the objective is to work out B, right? And if you look at this, the way this equation is set up, I haven't got b on its own here. Okay, I've got b squared here clearly, but I've got something adding to it. So we need to try and get b on its own. First step is to get b squared on its own. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep that 60.84 where it is, but I'm going to take that 21.16 over to the other side. Of course, when you take something over the other side, you do the opposite. So it's plus 21.16 here. When I take it over, it becomes minus 21.16. Okay, so this is an instance where you've got to take away from Pythagoras' theorem. 60.84, take away 21.16, and we get 39.68, right? And then, of course, that's b squared. To get b, you take the square over and you do the opposite and square root. Okay, so square root the answer, and we get, press the SD button, we get 6.299 meters. Alright, now they call the length WB, don't they? So I'll replace that with WB, and we'll round this to say 1 decimal place because everything's 1 decimal here, so that'll be 6.3 meters. Okay. Finally, we've got this sort of complicated looking sort of question where they're asking us to work out x here. Now when you've got two triangles stuck together, usually there's two calculations to be made, right? And if you look at this question here, it's worth 4 marks, right? So quite a few marks. Now the first thing I would do is look at this triangle up here, because if you notice they've given us two sides in this triangle. Okay, now if they've given us two sides, we could actually work out this side, couldn't we? So let's just focus on the top triangle. Don't worry about the bottom triangle. I know we're trying to work out x, but just ignore that for a minute and look at the top triangle. Okay, if you look at the top triangle, this would be my C, because it's opposite the right angle. This would be, say, my call that B if you want, and this will be A here. Okay, as I said, it doesn't matter about A or B, but C is important. So, Pythagoras' theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So, B is 4.7, C is 6.4, so square it. 4.7 squared is 22.09. 6.4 squared is 40.96. Of course, I forgot to write that a squared plus here. Okay, and again, we want to get a. So to get a on its own, we need to take the 22.09 over to the side. Because we take it away then, so 40.96 take away 22.09, and we get 18.87. And to get a, don't forget then you take the square over and square root this. Square root ants, and we get 4.34, right? Now, this is 4.34. And of course we can go again now, because if you look now, we've got a bottom triangle here, and we can work out x on this bottom triangle. So if you think of the bottom triangle, we can use Pythagoras there, can't we? Now this is my A on my bottom triangle. This would be my B, wouldn't it? And of course this would be my C, because it's the hypotenuse. So we've got a second triangle, which we're now focusing on. But the good thing is, with this second triangle, I know what my A is. So using Pythagoras' theorem again, right? A squared plus B squared equals C squared. My A is that 4.34, which I just worked out. My B is 2.1 equals C squared. Now if I work out C squared and work out C, then I've got my value of x. Okay, so I've got my calculator. 4.34 squared, that equals 18.83, or 18.84 if I rounded that, don't worry too much. 2.1 squared, which is 4.41, equals C squared. Add these together, and that comes to 23.25 equals C squared. And then to get x, I'm just going to square root this, square root the answer, and I get my answer to be x to be 4.8 centimeters.